Hi, Zach here with Bite Size Electronics, and today we're going to talk about some of the bare minimum things you need to get started in electronics. Now, I am going to make this list sort of based on my experience, and depending on who you ask, you might get different answers, but this is, in my opinion, sort of the bare minimum that you need to get started in electronics. The first thing on my list is a great multimeter. Now, you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on something like this. You just need something basic that measures voltages and current. In fact, I think I bought this for under $10 on Amazon. I bought it about 4 or 5 years ago. It's worked great. It doesn't have a lot of precision, but if you're getting started, that's not something you really need anyway. So I would suggest getting something fairly cheap that's going to last for a little while. The next thing on the list is a good breadboard. Now with electronics, obviously you're going to be making circuits and you'll need a way to connect the different parts of the circuit together, and that's why they make breadboards. It makes prototyping, rapid prototyping, really easy because it has all these holes in it, and you can plug in components right here on the breadboard and you'll make the electrical connections that you need. Now they come in lots of different sizes. I would recommend starting out with something like this. That's they actually rate them by the number of holes in them. They call them tie points. So this one is a 400 tie point breadboard, which just means that it has 400 holes in there. That's a very popular size. It's good. It fits a lot of, you can fit quite a bit of components on here. You can make pretty complex circuits on something even just this small. If you can also get the smaller ones, I like these ones for just not very complex circuits. This has 170 tie points. So yeah, that I would recommend getting either of these two sizes or both of them if you'd like. The next item is a very important one, and that's jumper wires. So these are just little metal wires that you can use when you are using the breadboards, and you can plug things in together and it makes connection. You can never have enough jumper wires. I'm always using, you can see here I have a giant box full of them. I'm always looking for more jumper wires, so this is good. You probably don't need this many to start out, maybe just a handful, but definitely something beginning hobbyists will need. The next item on the must-have list is some way to power your circuits that you're going to be building. A lot of people start out using batteries, which is a good way to go. They have little connectors that fit 9-volt batteries or AA batteries. So that's a good way to start out. One of the things I like to use is a little breadboard adapter, which you can plug into the breadboard, and you can actually, it has a USB connector on there, and that's kind of a quick. I do a lot of prototyping on my desk, and I'm always near a computer or a USB port or even like a cell phone charger. You can always use one of those to power your circuits, and so one of the adapters like these are kind of great. They allow you to use a USB cable to power your electronics. One thing to note with battery connectors like this is it's good to get ones that have little power switches on them, because it makes it easier to turn on and off your circuits in a quick way. Sometimes things go wrong, or you just want to, instead of having to unplug from something and find the right wire, it's nice to have the adapters, the little battery clips that have a little power switch on them. So I would recommend getting one of those. The next thing you'll want to get are definitely LEDs, because you use them in pretty much any circuit you're going to build. The standard size I would get that's good for breadboards are the 5mm size. They're probably one of the bigger sizes that you'll see, and they're easy to hold and you can put them in there. Get several different colors. There's red, green, yellow. They make them in all different types of colors. Yeah, I'd get started with several of these. The next thing that I would recommend is getting an assortment of resistors. Now resistors are measured in ohms, and so you'll probably want a lot of different values. You can get sets or assortments of these resistors. I would get 1/4 watt or 1/4 watt resistors. That's the amount of power that these are able to dissipate. Just a nice big size. And they have little bands, little colored bands, which tell you what the value of that resistor is. And so there's a chart that you can use to help you figure out and to read those little bands. And the next thing on the list are switches. Switches are always useful in projects. You can help turn things on or off. They make lots of different types of switches. Big ones that you might use outside your project, but if you're going to be doing it on a breadboard, you're going to want to use this type of switch, which is called like a momentary switch or a tactile switch. People call them all sorts of different things, but they have 4 little legs on them, and it actually can fit right on a breadboard if you put it right across the middle on the dip valley there. And they're great for lots of different projects. I would recommend getting some of these. Now, one thing that a lot of people struggle with when they're first starting out is knowing where to buy all of this stuff. There's a lot of great websites out there. Amazon is a great place to get things, but places like Adafruit.com. Adafruit's a great company out of New York by Lemore Freed, and she has created a huge website with a lot of tutorials and a lot of cool stuff to get started. Another one is sparkfun.com, which is created by Nate Seidel, and that's based out of Colorado, but it's another great website, has lots of tutorials, lots of getting started stuff. They're both based out of the US, so take that into account if you are going to be paying shipping, internationally or something like that. So those 2 websites are really great to use, but the place I use most often is actually eBay. I go on eBay and I search for the buy it now option, so I don't have to do like an auction or anything like that. And the other option I always choose is the price plus shipping is lowest first, so it basically orders it increasing in cost, so I get the cheapest ones listed first. And you'll find that most of it comes from China, so that means you're going to be waiting at least 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes even longer, depending on where you live, to get your items. But that's the price you pay for getting something really cheap. You can also, there's the moral debate of getting things from China and things like that. I'm not going to go into that or give you my opinion on that. That's something you can decide for yourself. But if you want the absolute cheapest thing and you are willing to wait a few weeks to get your item, or two weeks, most of my stuff comes within 2 or 3 weeks, then eBay is definitely the cheapest place to get a lot of this stuff. Everything I've mentioned so far you can get on eBay. So I hope this list helps somebody out there trying to get started in electronics. I've been doing this for several years now and made lots of mistakes, and that's totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with making mistakes. That's how you learn. Please feel free to email me or write in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to answer those. I'll be making more videos about how to get started and actually use some of these things. The best way by far to learn electronics is to come up with a project that you're actually interested in. And that's actually how I got started. I wanted to do some robotics, and so I kind of got started, and I found a book that actually helped me build a small little robot while teaching me the basics of electronics all the way through. So it kept me motivated, and that's actually definitely the best way to learn electronics is you have to have something that you're interested and passionate about, that you're working on to complete. Because if you're just trying to do something just to learn electronics, like, you're probably not going to stick with it. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to get bored or whatever, and you may just leave it there. But if you actually have a project that you're excited about and want to finish, you'll stick with it and you'll actually learn all these things. And it turns out to be the most fun hobby I have. Definitely, it's been a lot of fun. I've built a lot of cool things, and so hopefully this helps somebody get started. Thanks for watching.